The storm that drowned our neighborhood didn't begin with thunder. It began with silence, that heavy kind of silence that makes the air feel thick, and the trees hold their breath like they know something's coming. By the time the first drops hit the rooftops in Marietta, Georgia, most families were winding down, kids finishing homework, parents flipping channels not realizing water would soon be crawling into their basements, soaking their furniture, swallowing their streets. But I knew. My name's Clinton Dorsey. I'm a husband, a father, a maintenance supervisor, and for 15 years I've lived with storms tearing through the slope behind my yard like a runaway train carrying mud debris and gallons of rainwater straight into my basement. My wife Denise and I spent nights with buckets and towels praying our house would hold. I wasn't the only one either. I'd seen my neighbor Shirley stacking cinder blocks around her tomato patch just to keep it alive. So I did what any tired, fed-up man would do. I built something to stop it. Not a fancy dam, just dirt gravel, a short retaining wall enough to slow the surge. For the first time in years, our basement stayed dry. Our garden thrived. Our peace returned. Neighbors noticed. Shirley brought me a cobbler and said, "Clinton, you saved me this summer." Another neighbor thanked me at the mailbox. I didn't brag, I just felt relief. But in neighborhoods like ours, peace doesn't last, because rules matter more to some people than lives. Our HOA president Geraldine made sure of that. Retired broker, late 60s, clipboard like a sword, she lived for bylaws. Trash can out too long. Letter, shutters not approved, beige fine. And when she saw my dam, she saw an enemy. She showed up one Saturday with that sharp little smile. "Your husband built a structure that violates landscaping regulations," she told Denise. I stepped up, arms crossed. "It's not landscaping, it's protection. That dam kept water from destroying my basement." Geraldine pursed her lips. "Rules are rules, Mr. Dorsey. You'll be hearing from the board." And just like that, she turned something that saved us into a crime. You know what I mean. Soon whispers spread, some neighbors defending me, others muttering, I should have asked permission. At the HOA meeting, Geraldine stood at the front reading from her binder. Unauthorized property modification. I stood too. With all due respect, that dam is protecting not just me, but everyone downhill. Ask Shirley, ask Frank. Shirley raised her hand. "He's right, my yard hasn't flooded since he built it." Geraldine snapped. "This is not about convenience, it's about procedure." Denise leaned forward. "So you'd rather see basements destroyed than admit the dam works?" The room went silent, but Geraldine had already made her decision. A week later, the letter came. Violation notice, $50, $1,000 fine, 30 days to tear down the dam. Denise read it out loud, her voice trembling. "Clinton, this is more than we've saved for Terrell's college." I pressed my hands into my forehead. They wanted to break us, and they knew we couldn't afford a fight. So I picked up a shovel. Day after day, stone by stone, I dismantled my own protection. Sweat poured. My son Terrell tried to help with his little shovel. Neighbors watched with pity. Frank muttered, "This is wrong, man." Shirley shook her head. "Don't let her bully you." But I couldn't fight $50,000 and a legal system stacked against me. By the end, the dam was gone, replaced by a muddy scar. Geraldine strolled by with her clipboard. "Good morning, Mr. Dorsey. I see you complied." I stared her down. I didn't cooperate, I gave in. "When the next storm hits, don't say I didn't warn you." She didn't even blink. Weeks later, the sky turned sickly gray, the air heavy, and then the rain came. At first, just puddles, then sheets of water. Without that dam, the slope behind my yard became a river, tearing grooves through the earth, rushing into yards. I stood at the window, arms crossed, Denise whispering, "It's happening, isn't it?" I nodded, yeah. And it's just the beginning. By the third day, Willow Creek looked like a floodplain. Basements filled, cars floated, kids were carried upstairs. I waded through waist-deep water to help Jason Reynolds get his family out, yelling over the storm. "Forget the carpet, save your kids." Across the street, Shirley cried in her kitchen as water poured in. This never happened when the dam was here. And she was right. Even Geraldine's perfect home wasn't spared. She shoved towels against her door as water soaked her carpet, her clipboard abandoned on the counter. By Saturday morning, neighbors gathered on high ground near the clubhouse. Faces, pale, clothes soaked. Geraldine tried to speak. "We'll contact the county emergency crews," but Frank shouted. "Too late. He warned you." All eyes turned to me. I was drenched, exhausted, but steady. "This wasn't about me," I said. "It was about protecting all of us. And now you're paying for rules that never stopped a single drop of water." No one argued. Even Trevor, the guy who'd backed Geraldine every time, just stood there silent. When the rain finally stopped, Willow Creek looked like a war zone. Mud debris ruined furniture, family photos curling in the gutters. And for the first time, people looked at me not with judgment, but with respect or shame. We worked together in the aftermath, ripping out carpet, hauling soaked boxes, sharing shop vacs and meals. The neat little subdivision became a community forged in mud and misery. Geraldine. She hid behind her curtains. Her power was gone. A week later, neighbors gathered again by the clubhouse. No gavel, no podium, just tired people in muddy boots. Frank spoke. "We can't let this happen again. We need leadership that cares about people, not paperwork." Evelyn nodded. "Clinton should speak for us. He's the only one who fought for common sense." I shook my head. "I'm no politician. I don't want power." Denise put her hand on my arm, her voice calm but firm. "It's not about power, it's about fairness." I looked around, faces expectant, desperate, and I said, "All right, I'll stand for us. Not as president, not as dictator with a clipboard, but as a neighbor who knows what it feels like to be ignored." The crowd clapped, soft but real. Even Trevor nodded. Geraldine tried to justify herself, her voice cracking. "I only did what I thought was best." I looked her in the eye. "What's best for a neighborhood isn't in a binder. It's in the people who live here." And she had no answer. Now, when I walk past that muddy slope where the dam once stood, I don't see defeat anymore. I see proof. Proof that sometimes the person they try hardest to silence is the one holding the line for everyone else. Rules matter, sure, but people matter more. And storms, they don't care about bylaws. They prove in the harshest way what really holds a neighborhood together. So I'll leave you with this. Was Geraldine right to enforce the rules no matter what? Or was she blind to common sense? Have you ever seen someone punished for doing the right thing? Share your story, your thoughts, even your anger down in the comments. Because sometimes the only way neighborhoods change is when we start talking about what's broken and who had the courage to stand up. Word count LUF 1110 fit its 1200 range for 8 to 10 minute 0.9x.